The rotary snowplow was a machine used for snow removal on railway tracks. The plough weighed in at over 125,000 pounds with a cutting fan over 9 metres in diameter. It was built to throw snow to either side of a rail track and could cut through deposits up to 32 feet deep. The plough had the ability to move forward and backward as it cut through the snow. The Canadian Pacific Railway used this machine from the 1800s right through until the 1960s. This story begins in Canada in the late 1800s, moving to the United States, where the plough was widely used by the Union Pacific Railway, and to other parts of the world. It then heads back to BC during the early 20th century, to Rogers Pass, and today way up north in Bennett and White Pass. Canada Pacific Railways certainly helped develop and build the country's economy in the late 1800s and early 1900s. Therefore, keeping the railroads open was very important. But this was a difficult task during winters of heavy snowfall. To help combat this, the rotary plough was invented by Canadian J.W. Elliott of Toronto, Ontario in 1869. He never built a working model or prototype. However, in the early 1880s, another Canadian man, Orange Jull of Orangeville, Ontario, expanded on Elliott's original design, building working models which he tested with sand. Jull later sold his design rights to the Leslie brothers, who formed the Rotary Steam Shovel Manufacturing Company in Paterson, New Jersey. The plough was used throughout Canada on the White Pass and Yukon route, in Newfoundland and in Rogers Pass. In 1911, heavier and stronger rotaries were delivered to the CPR and were used full-time up until the 1940s. The machine was also a hit across the border in the United States, helping to clear rail tracks from heavy falls of snow and frequent avalanches. The rotary plough was taken to Europe, where it was also used in countries such as Germany and Turkey. The rotary ploughs were used to open rail tracks after a snowslide and to keep it open during snowstorms. The machines were pushed into the snow, either freshly fallen snow or avalanche debris, by a locomotive. All of the power was created by the boiler, which was used to turn the rotary bull wheel that cut and threw the snow to the side of the tracks. There was no locomotive power on the plough itself. Here we can see the setup. The rotary machine heads the train, followed by 2 engines. The operator of the rotary communicated with the locomotive engineer and ground crew by whistle signals. The rotary pilot had 2 whistles he could use. A little peep whistle was used to signal the rotary engine. 1 peep meant stop. 2 peeps meant go ahead. 2 more peeps meant give her all you got. The main whistle signaled the pusher engines as well. 2 long whistles meant go ahead. 1 long whistle meant stop. 3 short whistles meant back up. The worst avalanche of all in CPR history was in Rogers Pass on March 4, 1910. A train and rotary snowplow were working at clearing a slide, which had come down on March 3rd near shed number 17 on the summit of Rogers Pass. The first in the region in several years, when another slide came down. For many days it had been snowing heavily in the high mountains, but not at lower altitudes, so no one expected the lower regions to be affected by spring thaw. Several gangs working in a deep cutting, clearing the track, could not escape when the avalanche came down. The slide, over 600 feet long with a depth of 30 feet in some places, destroyed over 600 feet of shed. Bill LaChance, fireman of the rotary snowplow, was discovered in the slide by railroad foreman Johnny Anderson. He heard LaChance calling for help. Anderson told LaChance he didn't have long to live. However, Bill lived to old age and recounted the incident.
Well, the snow got a hold of me, and what it didn't do to me, it just doubled me all up and rolled me. Now all the time I am in that, I don't get one breath. I dug myself out, and I thought this leg, my right leg, was broken.
After Anderson's discovery, bells rang in Revelstoke and Golden, calling men to help recover the bodies. 62 men, mostly locals, were killed in the March 4th slide, and the towns of Revelstoke and Golden went into mourning for the victims of the worst slide in the history of the CPR. Obviously the plough had its drawbacks, in that trees and rocks would have to be removed by hand. Crews would often have to dynamite heavy piles of avalanche debris, and for large avalanches, the removal gangs often proved more efficient. Due to rotaries breaking from debris, they went back to the wedge snowplough pusher plough after the 1940s. Other reasons for the switch were that labour costs were high, as the rotary fleet usually required at least 10 men, and maintenance for the rotary and 2 steam locomotives was high. As a result, the ploughs were abandoned by the CPR and other railways by 1962.